you an expert, entrepreneur, or small business owner passionate about helping people through life's transitions? The Fresh Starts Expert membership is perfect for you. For just $55 per month, this dynamic membership is designed to boost your business and amplify your brand. Fresh Starts is here to provide you with business development, marketing, coaching, networking, publicity, community engagement, and more. With an SEO-optimized profile, exclusive press opportunities, and weekly co-working and business coaching sessions, you'll connect, grow, and gain visibility like never before. Are you ready to elevate your brand? We can't wait to work with you. Visit freshstartsregistry.com and become a Fresh Starts expert today.
Welcome to Simple Tips to Support Yourself, the podcast series that's here to help you master the art of adulting without losing your mind. Each episode will dive into simple, practical tips from the Fresh Starts experts on how to tackle life's daily obstacles with a little less chaos and a little more confidence. Whether it's figuring out finances, tackling that never-ending laundry pile, or even learning how to make a doctor's appointment without breaking into a cold sweat, we've got you covered. So grab your coffee and get ready to learn, laugh, and maybe even feel like you've got this whole being an adult thing under control. Let's do this together, because here at Fresh Starts, you never have to adult by yourself.
Hey, I am Chelsea. I am a writer who is exploring ideas to help women, especially, leave fundamentalist forms of religion and find healthier expressions of either religion or spirituality outside of religion.
Okay, Chelsea. So we have a lot of people who come to Fresh Starts when they're in the middle of a life change, and often we like to lean into our spiritual practice during this time. So what are some ways that you have worked with people or you've written about that we can lean into our spirituality that feels really good to our bodies and our souls?
Yeah, so I feel like this is true for me, and I think this is true for a lot of us. Many of us were raised in these religious environments that really asked us to deny ourselves or split off from parts of ourselves or hide parts of ourselves, and there's such a spectrum of this kind of way of religious belief, depending on what kind of faith you grew up in, what kind of church you grew up in or not, So I find that so many of us, particularly women, are so used to ignoring our emotions, ignoring our bodies, ignoring our desires, ignoring our intuition. And so I feel like that is just a really good starting place, is just starting by listening. I write a lot of guided meditations, and usually I start with just a couple minutes of, hey, just like tell your body, tell your emotions, tell your thoughts, I'm here for you. Because so often we go throughout our day running from thing to thing, very distracted, and we ignore like basic needs, but also deeper needs. And so often in meditation, we feel like, oh, I'm doing it wrong because I'm having these thoughts or I'm having these feelings, or, oh, all of a sudden, like something hurts in my body. And I'm like, no, actually, that's a sign that you're doing it right, because it's maybe the first time today or the first time in a long time that you've actually like sat down and stopped and turned inward. So that's actually a sign that you're doing it right if that happens.
Okay, so it's not always going to feel great, but it's going to be doing what it's supposed to be doing.
Exactly, because I think a lot of us, however we were raised spiritually, religiously, like I see this really across traditions. So much of our spiritual practice makes us think that in order to be spiritual, we have to get outside of ourselves. And I feel actually the exact opposite, where I think to be more spiritual is to know ourselves more deeply. And I think that's where a lot of these traditions have gone off the rails, where it's asking us, it's making the separation between our body and our spirituality, our self and our spirituality. When I believe, the purpose of religion broadly or spiritual practice is actually to bring us closer to ourselves, bring us closer to others. And also, if you believe in God or some sense of the divine or the universe, bring us deeper into closeness with, that reality, if we choose to name that.
I love that. Okay, so super casual question, Chelsea. How do we do that?
Yeah, that's a really easy one. I mean, I think the thing that's hard about what I do and the things that I talk about, I always joke, like, I don't feel like I'm a great spiritual leader that people want to hear from because I am never going to tell you what to do. I have this little affirmation that's actually tattooed on my wrist that says, you know what to do. So I really think the first step is just stopping and listening and then trying it, not questioning it. When I had really little kids, I really wanted to lean into spiritual practice. And especially for myself coming out of fundamentalism, I wanted to lean into spiritual practice without any requirements. So what it looked like for me in that season was trying to wake up a little bit earlier than my kids and just like be present to myself. And then whatever I felt like doing, I would do. And you can choose from a menu. You could read a book that's like a spiritual book, or you could read for fun. You could journal. You could do a guided meditation. You could go on a little walk, get into your body. You can practice a little yoga. I think the point is there's no shoulds. And I think for a lot of women, that's a really good starting place, is in a world that so often tells us what we should do, to just let yourself be. Ask yourself, what do I want to do? What would feel nourishing for my soul, for my body? And do it. Just try it.
I love that so much. So just before we let you go, if somebody's listening to this and they don't know how to implement maybe some of these more like ritualistic spiritual practices into their just like day-to-day life, what is like the easiest thing they could do to get started?
I guess if I could have one suggestion for, I talk a lot about this idea of embodied spiritual practice, which is kind of what I've been talking about, where a lot of our spiritual life, we've been asked to separate from our body. And so like a really simple practice, which maybe almost feels like this can't be it, but something that I often do is literally go for a walk, like in my neighborhood. And, I talk a lot about this practice of mindfulness, which is really just trying to be present to the moment. So much of our lives, we're either stuck in the past or we're worrying about the future. So when I go on a walk, sometimes I listen to music, sometimes I'm just silent. It's a practice of noticing how I'm feeling, my emotions, what I'm thinking about. How much can I bring myself to this moment? And I use my neighborhood as a tool to bring my awareness back to the moment. I'm looking at the houses. I'm noticing if, they're doing construction there. I'm noticing, whatever creatures live in my neighborhood. And sure, that there's not really anything like, for someone who grew up in a more strict religious context, it's like, well, that can't be a spiritual practice. But if we're thinking about our spiritual practice as awareness in this moment, and then moving from that place, then it becomes a very spiritual practice.
I love that so much. I did that when I was going through my divorce, and that summer I walked every day, and it was, I didn't realize how spiritual it was until I just listened to you say that. But it was like, oh, that house is for sale and they're cleaning it out. And then this, and it's like, you just notice the things. I love that. I love it so much.
You're just there. And if I can say one more.
Yeah.
I think, again, so I know so many of the people who listen to your podcast are women, like to the point of we often ignore our bodies. One thing that I started doing actually in 2020 is going to see a massage therapist once a month. And that for me is a spiritual practice. And I think also there's this sense of like naming it. So every time when it's time for me to go to my massage appointment, like I remind myself, like I tell myself, hey, body, I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this because you are worthy of care. You are worthy of attention. You are worthy of nurture, loving touch. And that honestly has been such a powerful spiritual practice. And then when I'm in a massage, I feel like so often you like get a massage or some other kind of self-care, and then you're like in your head, you're distracted the whole time. So I will practice that mindfulness of like, if she's massaging my leg, I try to just focus on what does it feel like? What does my leg feel like? And of course I get distracted and I start thinking about things. But if I notice that I'm getting distracted, instead of like, oh, I got distracted, I just lovingly remind myself like, hey, I'm here to be in my body. I'm here to receive. And so I'm going to go back to noticing how it feels to be my calf right now. Like it feels really good, and just leaning into that.
Well, that's so much more to unpack right there, because that's about your body and joy and pleasure and investing in yourself. So I love that. And I think, and also obviously massaging and body touch like that moves emotions and moves trauma and all that stuff. So we'll have to have you back on to talk a lot more about that, Chelsea. If anybody's listening to this, Chelsea, and they would love to learn more about what you do and follow you for your wise words of wisdom, how can they do that?
You can find me on almost every social media platform with my name. It's at Chelsea Kim Long. And my website is also chelseakimlong.com.
Amazing. And as of course, you can find Chelsea in Fresh Starts Registry in the Expert Guide. Chelsea, we appreciate you and your point of view and the way that you are so actively trying to make this world a better place. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Olivia.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. A Fresh Story podcast is produced by Fresh Starts Registry, the first and only platform for everything you need to begin again, from home items to Hype Team and everything in between. You can learn more and read today's show notes at afreshstory.com.
Are you a freelancer, solopreneur, writer, creative, or professional looking to achieve your goals within a supportive community? Have you found that working from home on your own gets lonely, that you're missing the accountability and community of a positive workplace environment? We understand. And we're so excited to introduce you to the Fresh Starts Collective. For just $35 per month, gain access to 6 daily offerings a week, including virtual co-working, open office hours for business coaching, accountability sessions, and networking opportunities. Enjoy expert workshops, monthly events, and an extensive content library. Connect with marketing, design, and writing professionals to brainstorm and grow together. Surround yourself with accountability, community, and growth. Elevate your journey with the Fresh Starts Collective for only $35 per month. Visit freshstartsregistry.com and join us today.